Hello, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to the Man in the High Castle After Show Season 4. We're covering Episode 2, Every Door Out. The Resistance is moving further along with their plan, but is it going to go as planned? Also, the multiverse and more. Stay tuned.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome to the Man in the High Castle After Show. We're talking Season 4, Episode 2, Every Door Out. Which is just kind of an interesting phrase.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I love where they're going with it.
I was like, oh,
considering-
okay, yeah. Meaning every door is a way out,
Yeah.
I guess.
Maybe.
I suppose. While we're doing that kind of pondering, my name is Kari Lane. I'm joined by my awesome co-host.
Hey, everybody. I am Rachel Goodman.
And welcome if you're watching us live in the chat. And if you're watching later, please comment down below your thoughts on this episode. And we are only talking about episode 2. And I know this is a binge show, but please, no spoilers. We're only going one episode at a time. So, watch the episode or go back and relive those memories as going through our after show. Oh, yeah. What did you think of this episode, Rachel?
I love that we got a little bit more with Juliana this time.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. As you know, I was saying the last episode we taped, which seems so long ago.
It was in another universe.
I feel like what happened to that time? But as I was saying then, I really wanted to see more of this alternate Earth that Juliana was on, and I feel like we got a little bit more with that. I also love that we got more with the BCR, and that we got we got to dig deeper into that world.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I like that the show's progressing. I mean, originally I'd say early seasons, it's a much slower burn. I like that things are moving along, and we're getting a lot of different aspects of what this world would be like explored that maybe early on you kind of wondered, like, hey, would they touch upon this? Like I was saying for episode 1 and in this one too, people who know what the world is like or even actually have a conscience understand that the Reich is wrong, and like, hey, and I like that the show is exploring that, because you have to think like somebody's gonna go, this doesn't feel right, but they get into that. So let's start. We're going to talk about Elijah and Belle. So the beginning is where it kind of begins with that. We go to Oakland, 1961. So this is 3 years ago, which is kind of a nice little mini flashback, but it's giving us context because we heard about this a little bit. We learn about Equano and this kind of the start of the BCR, the Black Communist Revolution. I thought it was interesting they mentioned they have allies in China. I was like, oh, cool. I was wondering where the other allies are.
Which does make sense to me as a history major, that China would have sided against the Japanese.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
And when Equano's talking, he constantly is saying that he gets into this kind of rhythm. He says, you are doctors, teachers, and artists, and I need you to be soldiers, which is like, oh. And then they go through the fact of how many people have lost somebody and kind of what gets a resistance starting, because some of the people, understandably, like, they're scared. You don't want to risk your life, but guess what? You're dying anyways. The people you love have been killed right in front of you in your own neighborhood, because then they kind of have that solidarity of everybody's lost someone. What did you think of that scene?
I was going to say, I love that everybody, including Belle, mentioned who they had lost and where, and just everybody chiming in. It was like a chorus of people. Just everybody had lost somebody obviously, and it was just very powerful to hear all the different names.
Oh yeah,
and how it affected each
and
individual.
Belle's her parents. It's
yeah,
like, aw, because she's such a strong character, and it was nice to see like where this woman started her revolution in a way. And then the other thing, which we kind of mentioned in episode 1, I really like, we're seeing this other group of people rebelling against the Japanese occupation, because we've seen Wyatt, we've seen some of the other people, Lem, but we haven't seen like such a specific tight-knit group rebelling, which is great, because I'm like, oh good, I was hoping like there would be other factions of groups that are fighting back, and maybe they haven't had a chance to unify, or understandably they're suspicious to ally with someone.
And that even after Wyatt's group would fall, now we've got this other group that's still rising up.
Mm-hmm. And they have the guns, so it's like, oh, they have the resources, so that's who we need to team up with. So then that's when Wyatt kind of gets a meeting, and Belle points out, like, they don't trust anyone outside their own community. And rather than that being a negative thing of us and them, but it's more a extreme view on self-reliance.
And one of the things that was brought up too that I very much appreciated was the BCR specifically said, we've been fighting this fight much longer than you guys. Because we know that this world that is not ours, it is the same as ours up until World War II.
Yeah.
But their group is saying, no. We had struggles before any of this happened, and we're still fighting a battle. And I loved that they pointed that out and showed that even, like maybe for certain groups of people, it would have been a safer world, but for other people, no, this was never a safer world. And so I just loved that they showed that emphasis.
And I like that Wyatt mentions he's Irish, and it's like they've had their own issues too of fighting against another white group, but still like another group too. So it's like he's like, no, I'm not exactly what you expect. So I like that character of Wyatt. I think he's fun, and he has like that charisma to get people to do something. And I think Belle she's smart enough to know we need all the allies we can get. Like maybe they shouldn't, invite Wyatt over for dinner, but it's enough to be like, all right, let's do this plan. They need the help, and it's a mutual benefit for them. And also, it is the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Absolutely.
Then we have, I was like, anything else with them? Yeah. So then, also at the end, we just have that little bit of moment with Elijah and Belle, which I really liked how they had their kind of moment of intimacy. I mean, they had the wild sex, but then just their cuddling was nice to see, them being romantic and talking about a future.
Can I mention too, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this later, but Childan and his situation with, I'm trying to find her name.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get to them.
Yeah, yes. But I just found it funny that they're talking, and then all of a sudden we cut to Elijah and Belle being intimate, and it's like implying that it's the same exact thing going on.
I like it. I hadn't quite thought that. But then that also leads into John talking with his daughters about like, hey, did you grow up with black people?
Yeah.
So back to Elijah and Belle. I like that they have them as a couple, and we get to see that intimacy, because I know I've been on another show and we talked about that, like, not often people of color are seen, like dark-skinned people of color are seen being romantic and sexual. So I like that it's like, no, this couple and they have a healthy, sexy relationship. I know that maybe for some people they'll be like TMI, whatever. But I liked their discussion about future and dreaming and children. So do you think she cannot physically have children because... It was a moment that I wasn't 100% sure, because at first it goes, well, wait, are they saying no, they can't have kids because they shouldn't in this environment, which I get that, or there has been things in history of forced sterilization, so I don't know if that's happened to her.
I took it to mean either way.
Okay.
On the one hand, I feel like
an injury, she's been shot at some point?
Yeah. I feel like he was trying to warn her against being disillusioned by this reality that it could one day be a dream. Yeah. And he was basically just saying, no, like, be realistic. We're not going to have a house. P.S. We're communists.
Oh, yeah. We can't own property.
I get what he was saying, but I don't know that he quite understands, like, in terms of, like, I mean, you could still have a house and maybe not own it, but still live somewhere and still be a communist. But
I was curious if they get into what their philosophy on communism was and, like, why have they chosen that as why has the BCR chosen communism as their, like, philosophy of lifestyle? I wonder if we'll get into that. I mean, there can be plenty of reasons to choose it, but yeah, I'd just be curious what they've decided in the show of, like, how that benefits them as a society. Yeah. But maybe we'll get into that. We'll see. But
I feel like it was more of, don't get your hopes up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And less about, you can't physically have kids. And I almost feel like that the fact that they're highlighting this conversation makes me think that she is going to get pregnant.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, because she also said they don't have to be my kids. They could just be kids.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think it could go either way. What do you think? Leave a comment down below. And again, mentioned it, but real quick, we're only doing one episode at a time, so only talk about episode 2. No spoilers. So then we have Elijah and Belle. We talked about Wyatt and Belle. And so as you were saying, let's get to then we have Robert Childen and Yukiko. Man, I like Childen and I want to like him, but it's such a complicated character too. Because in a way, it's like you're totally a slime ball for cozying up, being a kiss ass to the other side. But it's a way of survival. That's his way of surviving. Like we've talked about survival. He even mentions later when he's having that kind of private moment with Yukiko and the little tea ceremony, and he's like, oh my gosh, you want to pour tea for me? And he talks about how he like hid and just ate rats and bugs. So like this to him is like he wants to keep his cushy lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
even if it means being with somebody who's not going to make him happy.
Yeah.
But I definitely sense that.
I think she likes him.
Oh, and I think he realized it in that scene.
I think so too.
I think that's why they went from him and
to the sex scene.
To the sex scene.
Because, I think that was good editing.
Because that was, I think that was their way of saying that even though they did not sleep together, in her
mental
culture,
chemistry.
In her culture and the way that he is and the fact that obviously he might not be physically attracted to her, that they basically made love in another way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. We haven't quite gotten anything to indicate his sexuality and what he's into. I think ultimately the way he is, he probably would want someone who's Japanese just because he seems obsessed.
Yeah.
Because he's gone that direction. Like he's almost obsessed with Japanese culture. Which, I mean, like you and I love Japanese culture stuff. Like we like anime and language and stuff like that. But his seems like a whole other level. But again, survival. It's like, I think if he didn't love it, he'd go crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So we learn that there is going to be an auction that he's hosting. It's going to be a big deal. And the General Masuda is going to be coming. Also Shimura Nagasaki. It's just this like not the run-of-the-mill amount of people. And he gets a visit from the Crown Princess, which I think the girl, Yukiko, I was like, yeah, Yukiko, I think she was jealous the way the way Robert was looking at the princess and the princess was talking with him. I think she was like, I want to be his girl.
And like in a way where she couldn't, like I think culturally she wasn't showing it, but we could tell as viewers. But it's just interesting the way that her reaction to it in like, you know, a typical American might be like, hey, like pay attention to me.
Yeah,
but like
what's up?
She was
Stop
like,
it.
let me please pour you tea. Like it was like very
She's
calm.
like, no, I like you.
Yeah.
So we meet the princess again, which is great. So she comes to the shop and she's just kind of checking in on the auction as well. And I like that also he wanted to gift her that art piece, and then she's like, no, I'll send someone to buy it.
Yeah.
So that was, I think there's something more going on with her.
I think so too. I think she knows a lot more than what she's letting on, and that we're going to I feel like she's one of the best characters we have on the show in terms of the revolution and what is going to change.
Well, because she has the power to probably do more.
Yeah.
Or rather, people respect her so much she could get away with it.
Yeah.
And it does seem like she is way more in the peace mind, that I don't think she would approve of how harsh the Japanese have been to the Americans, like after, like just the regular day to day. Like I think if she witnessed like some of that behavior, I don't think she'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think she understands like they're the ones in power, but I don't think she likes brutality. Yeah. So we'll see. Oh, because she takes up Togami's life plan of peace and figuring this out. And then that was something from episode 1. She's like, no, I'm going to stay until this is finished, which was fun because it's like, oh no, I'm not leaving. So I was happy that she's like, yeah. Then we have, there it is. We have Keto. What else was Keto here? We have Keto and, Keto with General Yamura. So this is when they talk about the investigation. They're like, okay, investigation's over, close it up. And Yamura seems to be like, it's done. Don't talk about it. Even Keto's like, but we'll keep investigating. And he's like, drop it.
Yeah.
I feel there's more going on there too.
I think so too. And unless it's a situation where he knows for a fact who did it and he's covering up somebody who's Japanese maybe who he hired to take care of Togami.
I think that could be a possibility too.
Yeah. And then they went to the BCR and planted the evidence for Mingus. Poor Mingus. R.I.P.
Maybe that would be a thing. Pseudo getting ahead of myself on predictions, but maybe that would be a thing to make Keto distrust his his government in terms of like, wait, you planted it and figure that all out, and if it was our own people who killed him, because he, even though he wasn't friends with Tagomi, he respected him. So I think there'd be something there. So he also gets the reminder Masuda's coming in, and it's like, okay, this is very serious. And then we see that Toru, his son, totally has some PTSD going on, can't even put the medal on, he's having that flashback. I think he might kill himself.
Yeah, I think he might too. You know what? And I don't want to say too much until we get to predictions, but I almost feel like he's another one who might be very much linked to the different dimensions. And yeah.
Okay. Maybe. I feel there would be something more with him, or he's going to join the resistance because I think he doesn't like what's been going on either. So a little more of Keto, we get the auction day prep, and Keto luckily is pulled away because of his son. That he doesn't really get to have too much evil hawk eyes on everything of watching what people are doing, getting the preparations. And they're like, open the barbecue. And they're like, we can't. I'm kind of glad Chilton stepped up. Was like, no, you can't like break it down.
And I love how they called it a traditional American barbecue.
I was like, sure.
like that's a thing of the past. And
yeah, I'd say that's definitely an older one. I'm like, I haven't seen barbecues like that. And I'm like, no, what? But, so the other thing with his son, back to, I know I said it more casually of him committing suicide, but still, I like that they mentioned, he goes, I wasn't well. And I think it's a very uncomfortable thing for them to talk about. And if you watch Queer Eye Japan, so good. They talk about how, like, as a culture, Japanese people aren't as expressive on emotions and, like, relationship things that are going on and, like, mental health. And so I think for sure the son, like, that was his way of expressing, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And Keto doesn't know how to handle that so much. And he's like, you're going to be fine tomorrow. And his way of caring for his son is like, oh, you missed the interview. I changed the time for you. It was like, it was sweet, except for being so domineering.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're still going to this meeting.
Yeah.
I changed it for you. Don't worry.
I made them think that it was tomorrow, not today.
Like, oh, man, awkward.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I feel there's going to be something more. But I do think Keto cares for his son, but he doesn't know how to express himself.
Like, they had that awkward moment watching baseball, and I almost felt like I was watching a normal family, like the father and son watching a game.
Slightly awkward.
Yeah. But just the whole thing with the medal, too, if he couldn't even put it on, I'm worried for him in this interview. I don't think he's going to make it through.
Yes. And speaking of so do you think that plan for the party is crazy? I wrote down, I'm like, crazy plan. And yes, we're going to be caterers, which they got, see, here's the thing with the show. So many moments but I mean, this happens in real life too. So many lucky circumstantial things. Because the two guys, Wyatt and I was like, the other gentleman who goes with him to Children's office of like the store trying to, yes, we'll be caterers. And they probably wouldn't have gotten away with it except for the fact that the princess was showing up. And so Children's like, leave, sure, it's fine, go away, I'll take you. But you're just like, wow.
I just feel
Lucky
like it's very obvious that they are not part of the group. Like, it just, to me, it's a really terrible plan. I thought they were going to be dumb enough to have the weapons in the barbecue. And then when they got to the back with the pig. Now, here's the thing. If they're going to go ahead with this plan, great. Don't trip while you're taking the pig in. Keto was like, what's going on? Yep. I thought that when they finally got the guns out of that pig, that someone Keto was going to be there waiting. Yeah. Because it was so obvious and Keto was so suspicious.
He luckily got pulled away too. Yeah. But you know what? Sometimes in life, things are crazy circumstance. Yes. And with that too, the barbecue and prep of everything, trying so hard to make everything perfect. It's like, I'm worried for their plan. And then luckily the other resistance fighter was like, oh yeah, no, I know Japanese. It's like, oh, thank goodness. It's like, oh, we need someone who knows Japanese. Don't worry, we got that.
In perfect Japanese.
Yes, you're like, But it makes sense if he was living there. Hopefully it's someone who learned it. Speaking of awkward family, we also have John with his family. So we get introduced to that with the Reich testing. They're doing the series of teams going in, the Welt Commando, and they're just grabbing secrets information from all over the world, which is super creepy. And I'm like, oh no, what are they going to do? And then that's when we also learn they're doing a lot of sabotage and altering any advancements in the other worlds. I love that visual of that room with the multiverses. What do you think of that?
Well, I think we talked about this last time, but I'm just confused with why they are able to control how they travel.
I'm curious how they can do that too. Like, how do they know where they're sending someone?
And then in that room that it looked like, so when John Smith stepped into that little room where they had the map,
mirrors?
Yeah, it looked like Yayoi Kusama. I don't know if you're familiar with her work, her infinity mirrors.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
And she's a Japanese artist. It looked like one of her artworks or her pieces. And literally they step into this room and it's like, okay, you've got all these little globes of different worlds.
Yeah.
How do you know so much about
which
just
is which?
This one? And it's like, well, there's this one world. And we know that it's exactly like ours, except that the Germans lost.
Maybe they just hop in through the doors or the light tunnels, if you will, report back from where they went and just keep the notes of what they did on that test.
And maybe. And then what? So they, as you were mentioning too, they're bringing back like different.
Also, the fact they can bring back stuff too. I'd be curious on like
how are they doing that? Yeah. And then also, I mean,
they
I guess
might not get into the details.
I mean, I guess if you think about it too, every time we've seen Juliana or anyone else travel, they do travel with their clothes.
That's true.
So they could probably just stuff something in their pocket and call it a day.
Yeah, I wonder if like you held something. I feel like these are like the weird specifics, but we're like, we want to know.
Yeah.
But I bet they probably won't tell us.
And it's like too, my other question is, when they're bringing things back from other worlds, how do they know? I mean, I guess if it's working for that other world, theoretically it would work for the Germans, but how do they know that something that was written up for that other world in a very specific place is going to be something they can use?
I guess they don't know, and they just feel any knowledge is knowledge, so they'll take it. That's also when, we get a mention of Abinson and that he helped with mapping the multiverse, which is interesting because I wonder why he would help. Or no, he didn't help with the mapping, but he's been compliant. So I'm like, I wonder if we'll see him because I felt like we barely saw him before, so maybe not. They'll just have mention, or that was it.
Yeah.
So then John, when he learns about like, when the guy's reporting like, you're a salesman, he's like, oh, well, it's all right. And the soldier seems so like nervous to tell him, I'm sorry, you're only this. And his son's fine, and then that's when he finds out Juliana's alive. He sees her in a photograph, and you're like, gosh darn it, like, no, technology. And then he's obsessed because this is essentially the one that got away of, I don't feel he's ever had a prisoner escape or foil his plan. So to have this is like, ooh.
And he saw her travel, so he knows that.
He knows something's up, yes.
Yeah.
And also we don't exactly know how travelers, it's kind of like meditative state, but still, it's like the science fiction of it. They were like, ooh, I want to know how it works.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when it's like now we know there's difference between physically traveling and then
just mentally.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they'll probably explore that more, I hope. So then we get, so speaking of John with his kids, when we have Jennifer, she's back in school. It's kind of awkward, and she's a good adapter because she's like, I don't have the armband thing, and she like we meet little Henry, which was like,
and she seems to know who to trust.
I think so a little bit. I think I trust him.
Yeah, me too. He seems like he wouldn't rat on her.
No.
And if anything, he would just kind of want to quietly talk about things.
Yes.
And also, like, he had a crush on her.
Yeah, very much so. And she's like, let me show you this music and dance for you all sexy. And I'm like, oh, they're so adorable. Young love. And she doesn't know how to quite express herself. I thought that was super cute, but I'm just like, no, this is dangerous.
I was waiting for somebody who would
somebody else?
I was waiting for somebody to walk in who would have actually ratted on her. Like, not the sister, not John. I was waiting.
Like an employee or something
yeah,
like that?
or just anybody who was just happened to be working there, or like, you know, somebody, an unexpected visit from an officer.
I just was like how she can be. I mean, she is naive and doesn't think about how dangerous it is yet, because they have just gotten back, but still, we see the classroom scene where, like, we shouldn't be reading this book, and you're just like,
It was, okay, can we talk about that? Because it was Merchant of Venice.
Yes.
And they were going on, like, you know, analyzing one of the characters for being Jewish.
Yes.
And then the one line was like, yes, but, like, I think it was something.
If you prick me, do I not bleed?
Yeah, and she was like, oh, that means that you're saying Jews are humans, so
Yes.
we shouldn't be reading
blasphemy.
this.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, what? Like,
They're that strict, and it's the brainwashed children that's like,
that teacher.
she was scared.
I was like, who is she? Like, is she really like?
No, I think it's just that they've made the environment now that all the young people, because we had seen them riot in the past.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like they can rat you out. And the thing is, those kids don't know a time before. So they're a lot they're easier to brainwash into, this is the only way, this is the right way. Though I would really think there'd be the random ones that would go, you know, because any society, there's always the kids that question it and go, wait a minute. I think Jennifer's luckily a little bit older. She's probably like 12 to 14-ish. And I think her younger sister's probably more like 8 to 9. Yeah. I don't think we've had their grades mentioned specifically.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So Jennifer's old enough to know, like, this isn't right. Like, she has a critical thinking skills. There we go.
Yeah.
That she understands the neutral zone. Like, hey, it's different out there.
And spending a year out there, too.
Was good for them,
with Hank,
in a way.
Who seems very much more open-minded.
Level-headed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hearing different music.
Yep.
Even the mother, even Helen, who is now coming to terms with how things should be.
And, like, her hair, we didn't really talk about it before, but, like, her hair was down, not pinned up and everything, like, suction and, like, suffocated. And it's like...
She felt more like for a second, because we had seen Helen in the alternate world. For a second, I wasn't sure which Helen it was. Because they seem more similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now that
wearing the same kind of clothes.
Can breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, Amy, what a brat. This is why it's small children. Yeah. Young children in most movies and shows, you're like, can we just get rid of that kid? And it's like, no. And, but Jennifer, I think she should have done that. Maybe it'd be hard to have a boy alone in your room, but I feel that would have been where you could have done that record and not really worried about it, but as much. So she does that, and Amy is a brat, and thank goodness. This is also where I'm like, well, thanks, Dad, for stepping in of, no, it was my record. It's part of an investigation. It's fine. Like, he's a good liar. Smart liar.
He's a good guy, too, when it comes to things like that, because obviously he's done some really awful things.
Yes.
But in terms of, you know, doing the right thing for his kids, lying for her, and even Amy was like...
He lied for her at another time. Yeah, because then towards the end of the episode, when he tells her, you know, like, did you go to school with black kids? Did you know them? All of his answers didn't actually answer the question, but it answered it enough. Like, were they nice? What was it like? And he's like, I didn't really know them, and just passed it off. And I like that Jennifer's like, you lied to her. Mm-hmm. It's like,
she knew.
She knew. She's like, nope, that's a lie. And Jennifer crying to her mom going, I don't want to stay here. So hard. And I think he does recognize that. And I'm curious if he cares.
I think he does.
Or he's going to do something about it.
I think he does. I don't know if he's going to do anything about it because I think the problem with him, I think that we know this can be a good person. We've seen him do good things even in this universe or in this dimension. But I think that there's always a battle going on inside his head. And I think that he does care tremendously. Mm-hmm. But the battle is, well, no, I can't do anything about this because she needs to stay here, because she needs to fit into this society, because I will need her to survive. And I think that's part of it, is he knows if he leaves them out in the neutral zone or, you know, in Montana, it's just not
doesn't feel safe.
No.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, I wonder for him is like what he'll do with his kids and think what's safe, and how I wonder if he'd let them. The older daughter. Oh, he has to let his daughter go back to Helen or not. And it's essentially saving face for him because we haven't had it yet. But before, when his wife wasn't doing so well, like was out in public and not doing so well, I'm wondering when other people be like, "Where's your wife?" and like your daughters. Though technically that might be overstepping and inappropriate for them to ask that now that he's so high up the social ladder. But it doesn't look good for him on a social level that his wife left, is not back. And now the daughters are back. So I'm wondering if that's where he might be like, it looks bad for him because he's supposed to be like a family man and like, well, what happened to your family? You're supposed to be this picture poster perfect person.
Exactly. So, but it's at the same time, Helen made a good point that it's very dangerous to have the daughters back there.
I think it's going to be so dangerous.
Especially for Jennifer.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think she's going to be able to go back to being what they want her to be, the poster child. And I think that she's at that age where she won't be able to necessarily stop herself.
And do the testing. You know what? Maybe that will be it. Back to my other prediction from before. And I know we're not to predictions yet, but her thought, I think one of the kids is going to die, but maybe that's it. It's her. She'll get tested, and then that will be his like last straw, or he'll prevent it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So then the last little bit, we get a tiny little bit more with Juliana that I was like, oh, yes, this at the very, very end is someone is watching her. Really creepily watching her in the car. I don't know what that is, which we'll save that for predictions in a minute, which we'll do our special segment and then do our predictions. So our special segment is our reality in the fiction. So we'll talk about what are some...
Ooh. That is an awesome soundbite.
We'll talk about, like, what are some real historical aspects that are in the show, and then maybe how they're not quite as accurate. Rachel, take it away.
So, for this particular episode, we saw a lot of literature, and so I just wanted to mention that first. We saw Du Bois's The Soul of Black Folk, which was published in 1903. Yes, that is a real book. It's basically a book that really spoke on the Black culture in America, and it was seen just coming right off of the website describing it. Souls offers an assessment of the progress of the race, the obstacles to that progress, and the possibilities for future progress as the nation entered the 20th century. So obviously Nazis would have seen that as being propaganda and not fitting their vision. So that is why that book would have been burned. So it's amazing that they have it. If this is all going back to the BCR meeting when we saw in the first part of episode 2.
Oh, Belle was so excited about all those books, and she's like, I want to read all of them.
So that was one of them. Nefertiti was another book they had, and the reason why that would have been controversial is because Nefertiti was huge with her husband. She was the queen of Egypt and wife of Pharaoh I'm not going to pronounce this right, Akhenaten, I believe, during the 14th century BC. But the biggest thing is that they only worshipped one god. And so as we were talking about last episode, the Nazis, even though they were outright Christian, one of the things that they were starting to develop was this belief in, it was kind of like belief in gods in like agriculture. So it it was just very radical. And she as a female ruler would have been radical. The other thing is that there was a book on Karl Marx. For people not familiar, obviously this is the Black Communist Rebellion, taking communists from the Communist Manifesto, which was written by Karl Marx, which was essentially, the book that became the basis for communism. So the last thing I wanted to mention is not literature. It's that at one point they mentioned Willie M. Bill Pickett. He was actually a real guy. This was a piece of artwork that they had. He was a real guy, a cowboy rodeo, Wild West show performer and actor. In 1989, Pickett was inducted into the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice. So now we'll get into some predictions. I like hearing the history stuff. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like how much history they put in there. All right.
Predictions.
Expanding upon and saying again, yes, I think either Jennifer is going to die. Maybe it's Jennifer not. Because I think that would be, it'd be more likely for Jennifer to die than Amy. And also, I think, or it will be something like she'll get tested again and John will stop it and not to lose her, and maybe that will make him change.
Or she'll get tested, come up positive.
Yeah.
Then he'll kind of sneak her. Yeah.
And then, I want some of my dark people to turn to the light and Keto's to, like, come, but I don't want them to lose somebody. But I feel so many of them are so ingrained that they need some big loss to make them switch sides.
Yeah. I think my big thing, I almost wonder if the person stalking, following Juliana is actually a good guy.
Oh, I hope so.
And
it's
that
like,
it's,
please.
Yeah, like it seems kind of creepy right now, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's a good person
Mm-hmm.
and
Maybe.
It's going to be somebody we already know from the Earth that we know.
Yes, that'd be nice if, like, maybe it's John or,
Yeah, that'd be really,
well, what was her other guy's name?
So not Frank, but the other...
Frank, yeah, no.
Yeah, Frank.
If Frank's alive in this world, too.
Yeah, but I don't know if he'd be stalking her. Maybe this
No,
version
because
would
maybe that's a different thing,
Yeah.
or they've heard about the multiverse or something like
Yeah.
that. Or maybe there are some other people that know about it and know that, you know, a more positive spin that maybe seems sinister at first. I agree.
Yeah.
Do we think this plan is going to go well at the auction?
No.
As you shake your head. No.
Poor Wyatt, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Calling it now.
Yeah. I like Juliana and Wyatt together. They were actually a cool team. Not necessarily romantic too, though they were a cute couple that way, but I like them working together.
Yeah.
But she's not there, so that's true. I don't think the auction's going to go as planned. It might not go... I think they'll finish it, but it will be like maybe 75% of is success rate in terms of maybe they'll make the statement enough, but I think we're definitely gonna lose some people. Maybe Elijah's gonna die, and that will make Belle even stronger in the cause.
Yeah. I could see that happening too. Yeah.
Because again, it's sadly the characters who have the big losses that make them like really dig in their heels and do more, or go forward with more conviction because they've lost someone they care about. We didn't really talk about it much, but I wonder if we're gonna have more with Russ Gilmore. So that was the guy that Juliana was kind of dating-ish.
I didn't like him.
Yeah?
You know what? Here's another prediction. I almost thought Russ was a Nazi spy.
Oh.
And that he, I don't trust him. I feel really weird about him. And maybe he's the stalker.
I was a little suspicious because she is so guarded with him. Understandably so. I'm glad she sleeps lightly and was able to wake up, that somebody was there. It does seem weird to have him and not do much with that character. So maybe. Yeah. And I wonder if she'll open up to anybody about the multiverse, but it'd be so hard to... Because the problem is she can't really prove it.
And this is why it kind of annoys me that they jumped a year and we didn't get to see much yet. Mm-hmm. If we will get to see anything from her time there. Because I wanted to know how she handled it. Mm-hmm. And, if she... Obviously... I mean, not that she wants to go back, but I'm just kind of confused at this point if she... is just planning on staying where she is.
I think she is. I think she's not planning to leave, but I'm wondering if she can leave by accident. Yeah. Like if something's going to happen and if you would jump on accident somehow through worlds, or if it's a muscle you have to like practice working on. Yeah. Does she have to exercise that ability or does she lose it? Or can she practice it? Because like Tagomi seemed to be practicing it that he could do it rather easily. Yeah. But I wonder if Juliana is going to go that direction where she can do it. I mean, we kind of see it, I think, with her meditations, but I wonder if we'll explore it more where she could use it on the offensive rather than just observing. Yeah. And actually do it like team up somehow, or if she could hop back to where she was from and then come back, like could she just go back and forth? Is there a limit on it? Is it too taxing on the body? Or so many questions about all the details on this, how it all works, which I hope they seem to be giving us a little bits here and there, but I wonder if we'll really get some stuff explained, but maybe not. We'll find out. Well, anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so.
All right, so that covers it on the episode 2 of Every Door Out, Man the High Castle, make sure to click that subscribe button so you're up to date when we release the other after shows. So we will be doing these only one at a time. Again, one at a time. So please, no spoilers. I know this is definitely a really easy show to binge, but just one. No spoilers. Excuse me. And then make sure to click, iTunes, 5 stars, and leave a comment about what you thought of the episode. So, Rachel, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Rach Goodman or on my author Instagram at Rachel Radner Author. If you are a fan of His Dark Materials, we are doing the AfterBuzz show tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
That's such a good show.
It is amazing.
Just watched episode 2 today, and then 3 I think came out today too. Yeah. So it's Sundays. Oh my goodness. My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. And then also I'm on Box Office Breakdown. We talk about what movies came out over the weekend, as well as a My Hero Academia after show, which Rachel comes on from time to time as well. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.